when it's silver.
Welcome back to the GSL Code S. We just wrapped up our first best of 3. It was one Protoss player basically unable to respond to what the Zerg was doing. Zerg going Hydra Baneling. Protoss really sticking with a lot of Immortals when I think there was other Robotech that could have dealt better with the unit comp that the Zerg had.
Yeah, and it does get complicated at that point too. Like if you start going into Colossus, you know, they're going to kind of go into Lurker, and then eventually it's going to become a Broodlord game. Do you have your Tempest? It gets complicated, so it's not just like make these and you win, but like make these and you don't die.
Yeah, make these and the game will go on for longer, and maybe you can try something else.
Yeah.
So it was a very straightforward series. Sue is the victor, and so these two players playing against each other now. The winner is going to go up against Sue. Sue looking like he should be able to get out of this group.
Yeah, and I mean, he is a runner-up from last season and a legend of Zerg, so you expect him to get out of this group. You expect him to go into the round of 8 at least, really. You know, it's going to take like someone like Maru in a best of 5 to take him down, or anyone in the finals, you know, so that's expecting that, especially against someone like Trust, where it's like, okay, you're around a 32 player basically.
Yeah, it's funny to see the skill difference, even with the top 32 players in the world, that some can just dominate the others.
Oh, this is kind of funny. Look at these stats. Of course, these are like 2017 stats. We haven't seen Trap that much. But actually his worst record against Zerg. But I've always looked at this guy as a very strong PvP and PvZ player. Like his PvZs, I think, have always been surprisingly strong in comparison to the other Protosses, because he's definitely like a second-tier Protoss. No one ever considers him one of the very best. But I don't know. I don't know exactly how well he's going to do. I saw rumors that he was going to switch to Overwatch, but I don't know if that's actually true or not. You never know when nerds are trolling.
Well, also, you know, sometimes you can be a pro gamer and try to switch to one game and be like, oh, this is a completely different game.
Yeah.
And my skill sets don't necessarily, you know, it doesn't translate when I try something else out. So we'll see. Solar is a very good player. I think this is not going to be an easy match here for Trap. Solar is one of the most consistent Zergs out there.
Yeah, I really like Solar right now as well. He showed just amazing play during the Super Tournament. You know, taking down some of the biggest names in the game. And looking forward to see what he wants to do here in ZVP. And by the way, I do want to give a shout out. His style, he is the one who made Hydra Bane.
That's right.
In SSL last year, he busted out against Stats, and Stats barely took him out in the round of 4. So that style that he kind of pioneered is back. Will he be going with that style against Trap? We'll see shortly.
Let's find out. Map number 1 is Newkirk Precinct. Let's go. Zerglings, Banelings, watch out for the changelings. In, wait for it, in the bottom right, in the blue, he is
Jin Air Greenwings, Trap.
Let's keep this shot going a little bit longer, guys. There we go. In the bottom left, in the red, our Zerg player, he is
Splice, Solar.
Keeping his mouth full of water.
The Fountain Zerg. Okay. Well,
I'm curious to see if this series is going to mirror anything that we saw in the first series.
It really matters.
Because we don't have any Terrans today, so
yeah,
we're going to have a lot of PvZs and mirror matchups.
I think you're right about that. I looking at this, like, PvZ right now, I think so much of it has to do, like, yeah, there's some early game all-ins. There are Roach all-ins, Ravager all-ins, Baneling all-ins, stuff like that in the early game. But I think so much of it depends on what Protoss wants to open with and the level of the Protoss player. You know, some of these top-end Protosses, when they go a heavy Adept harassment strategy, they are like basically forcing a Roach Warren out of you. You know, they're forcing you to play defensively and get units that they are going to be able to counter very easily. And it kind of like puts Zerg in some ways, I think, on the back foot a bit and makes for very interesting games. But then you get some guys that maybe sit back a little bit too much. Like, remember Billowy versus Beal, right? Billowy's like just kind of defending, trying to get a good unit set, and Beal's like, okay, and we'll just start slaughtering you with Hydroling Bane and trading efficiently and, you know, getting more bases and stuff. So I really think that PvZ right now, Protoss dictates the way that the game is going to flow.
Well, it's interesting because we used to see a lot more big Adept pressures, and it seems like, for instance, in the last series, that Protoss was not used to having to react and respond to the Zerg as much. Whereas, like, some people are very good at being, I think Hero's a really good example of this, of doing a bunch of decisive actions early on, and then the other guy has to keep reacting and putting out fires.
Yeah.
And you're kind of in, like, for instance, like Hero's Funhouse, and, you know, it's like there's clowns laughing at you and fire everywhere, and there's a mirror that shows you like what you truly look like, and, like, in your soul.
That's Hero for you, exactly.
Yeah, and if you can, like, overcome that, then you're okay. But in some of these games, for instance, what we saw with Trust, it just seems like he wasn't reacting or even, like, really responding or respecting what the Zerg was doing at all. Well, he was kind of just trying to play his own game, and he lost.
He had an idea of what he wanted to make, and then he made it. And that was and it was like, that was it. It was like, okay,
I'm making immortals.
These units are good against Zerg. Let's use them. Okay, this Adept, actually, that was awesome. He scouts that there is actually a Drop Lord here. Oh, well, that, like...
Well,
I don't, like...
It's not just the idea of it. You got to wall it in right, so...
Yeah,
Wow.
I don't really know what to say about that, because this is an old map. Trap should know that that was not placed correctly. Maybe just a little bit of a play mistake there. But shading in now, trying to get rid of these. I guess the Drop Lord wasn't needed. They just run straight in already.
Yeah, they get in for free. It doesn't look like Trap's...
Ooh.
Well, let's see how many drone kills he can get here. He's up to 4, but now targeting the Queen, and he's not moving this Oracle out very quickly.
Yeah, it looks like he's microing back at home right now. But 4 drones is not too bad, and he chases the Lings out as well. So, you know, he salvages this situation pretty well. Not as well as a bunker, but well enough.
As the game moves forward, we're having more and more drones coming out here. It looks like Zerg should be stabilizing to defend against the Oracles. Adepts are going to come across the map and counterattack, and this can be a good idea because sometimes you end up killing off a good amount of probes, but you lose most of the Lings, and then you were making drones behind that, so you're actually not ready for the counterattack with the Adepts.
And the Adept's moving out right now. Second Oracle popping out as well. You might be able to get some damage done. There's 8 Lings being hatched over here, and a few Lings look like they're going to be dropped into the main base of Trap.
Okay, he's coming up here now. Now, there's not really any workers to pick off, and there's not quite enough Adepts to necessarily take out the hatchery. He's shading down to see where the Zerglings are right now. He should probably come in here and attack as the Queen comes out.
These slow attacking Adepts not going to be able to do too much. The 3 Queens plus Zerglings going to push them back for the time being. Only a couple of them going to get out alive.
Trap really hemorrhaging some Adepts back there. You know, it's not quite that key number of Adepts where you can just get into a good fight or get into a good position and take the fight.
Yeah.
You basically have to try to kill off drones and then run away. And Subway's done a good job of not really letting that happen.
By the way, this Drop Overlord was sitting there with Lings in it for so long and now just gets destroyed. So that didn't really do much of anything. Whereas Trap going into Glaives, getting this 3rd base, solid play, like just very normal strategy coming out of him. Even the Phoenix going around hunting down Overlords. But he hasn't really done much damage so far to Solar.
What do you think about these 2 Adepts with the probe at the top?
I think he's hoping that this doesn't happen.
Yeah, it gets knocked down.
Yeah, if those rocks don't get knocked down, then those 2 Adepts could do massive damage the first time you think Solar's not looking. In fact, he's going to shade up before that finishes, but plenty of units here to kind of shut this down without too much damage.
Yeah, the drone's continuing to run away now. The Oracles are going to be taken out before they can shade away. Only 3 kills there, so the Oracles don't exactly pay for themselves. And now with that being torn down, it's going to be much harder to come in there with Adepts.
You know, those rocks falling, I'm always so paranoid about that killing my own units, man.
Yeah.
1 Ling falling right there. But Infestation Pit on the way. This is really, really cool. Solar, more than probably any Zerg in the world, loves to go Swarm Hosts against Protoss, and it definitely can be very, very efficient. With lots of Ling and Bane out, he can kind of stay alive against things like, Adepts attacking, or just really any attacks that happen on creep early on, you should be able to hold on against. But if he makes these Swarm Hosts, this is going to be really fun, man. Like, he's very good with this type of strategy.
Well, it's really smart because it's like the alternative approach. And sometimes other players have not had as much practice against it. Okay, this round is actually really good, and you cannot afford to lose that many Adepts for nothing. If I were Zerg, I would consider actually just attacking the third base here for Protoss. There's not that much over there.
Yeah.
Certainly nothing that Banelings couldn't handle. Just take out the pylons.
You're right about that. It looks like the way he probably wants to go about this, I do think he's going to throw down some Swarm Hosts here pretty soon. Like, maybe he's going to scout out exactly what's happening. Okay, there's the Swarm Host. Now, about the Swarm Host, right? Like, if you go something like Charge Archon Immortal, all of these units are actually countered by Swarm Hosts. Locusts rip through them.
Right.
Like, the things that counter Locusts and Swarm Hosts, in general, like Phoenixes can do pretty well. Like anything in the sky, right? Because then the Locusts don't hit them and you can chase down the Swarm Hosts. Or like if you have Colossus, for instance, you can just push through the Locusts because you have a lot of splash damage. But no one really just uses those as standard builds.
Yeah.
So like these Swarm Hosts, I think, are going to do a very good job.
Okay, we have the Swarm Hosts over here, a.k.a. Hell Muffins.
Hell Muffins!
Hell Muffins.
Oh my God!
They do look like you can't unsee that once you look at it. It's all right. So here they go, and they're moving up right now into position. Now Protoss did spot it, but it doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to have time to respond.
Muffins. That's great. Oh, this is pretty good with the Oracles actually picking a couple of these off.
Yeah, this is not bad at all.
Yeah.
Now coming forward, going to obliterate this Stalker over here. And this is tough for Protoss to deal with. I mean, you can really just chew through their base over time. And even though you can take out these Locusts, you're basically losing some of your units for units that they can throw out there for free. As long as he's able to escort the Swarm Hosts. I want to call them Hell Muffins again, but
they're Hell
I'm
Muffins.
like, wait, what are they really called? Them?
From here on.
So nicely done. He's not stopping, by the way. He's banking a lot.
Did you actually just think of that?
Yeah.
And completely on your own?
Yeah, that's
You didn't steal that from someone funnier?
No.
Then you're the funniest.
I write my own material.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Well, I thought about cupcakes, and I'm like, no, they're much more like muffins, actually.
Yeah, no. Well, hell, cupcakes is not even funny.
No, it doesn't go together.
That's like, that's like someone who just thinks cat gifts are funny or something. Like, no, it's Hell Muffins.
Now, with the Queens here, he can actually transfuse the Swarm Hosts.
I like the way that Trap is really trying to deal with this. You want to get the Swarm Hosts as close as possible for these launches so that the Locusts have longer to do damage. And now that he has the Phoenixes, like, as I was saying, that's a good way to try to counter it. Now, he's counterattacking while the cooldowns are off, so that's a really good move as well.
Now note he's going for the Nexus. Oh my God, I think everything just suddenly fell apart in a matter of seconds here. The Lings have spilled in over here. The Protoss is trying to push, but of course the Swarm Host can be used to defend along with the Banelings and everything else. The Lings not quite countering any probes, but I think there's so much going on in so many different locations at once. The Zerg, if he actually drives out the Protoss forces that are on the left side of the map, I think he could just go ahead and take a fifth base here.
Yeah.
Trap is kind of falling apart here, Artosis.
Trap, he did force a cancel on the fifth that was trying to be made, but the fact that the fourth base for Trap got canceled and he's like harassing, even if these Lings don't really do damage, just as you said, like if he can force the army away from him, every cooldown you get on these Swarm Hosts is more value. Right? And they haven't done huge amounts of damage yet, but it's getting worse, right? All the mana's being used up. He's been forcing a bunch of units that are just sitting here trying to counter them. And look, like this Immortal's dead. There's going to be probes that die. Maybe he's going to be able to get in and kill this Nexus now.
Oh my God, he's got to get the Nexus.
Yeah, this is it's a very good style. It's not used that much, but like Solar really is the guy that uses it the most at the top of the pro scene.
I think that Zerg doesn't have to do much of anything for the time being.
No, you're right about that. He's going into Broodlords, and he's like getting Hydralisk tech. Like he's just getting stuff that this army that his opponent made can't do anything against.
Yeah, there's just not much he can. This is one of those moments where I think the Protoss is so crippled that he's dead, but he hasn't left the game yet.
Yeah.
Look, he's going to be moving out here. Artosis, everything.
This is
all these hell muffins, man. Say, try some fiber in your diet.
Oh my God.
Wow. Well, he's coming in with this small harass over here, which of course Zerg has to clean up. But I think he might be able to get the Warp Prism. In fact, I don't think he's moving the Warp Prism.
Oh, look at these Locusts trying to attack the Army Sword. Oh my god, if they dive on that Tasteless, oh, the damage.
Okay, it looks like Protoss is just able to kind of outmaneuver.
Yeah, this is actually quite nice.
Could he target down the hatchery?
And down go all of the Locusts there. So, well, that's still, he has enough army that he should be able to still stop this.
Okay, he's coming up. These Banelings are going to connect right on top of these Zealots, which means it's just like an art. Yep, that's it. GG. Solar takes game number 1.
Yeah. I love Solar's style, man. The Stormhost play is so good against these kind of cookie-cutter Protoss compositions. And you're seeing basically 2 Protosses that are not at the leading edge of the metagame tonight. If you watch, like, an SOS or a Hero or, like, you know, some of these guys that are, like, really known for being strategic innovators, a lot of people are doing things like Colossus play and other type things that are going to fare a bit better against this new style, this new wave coming out of Zerg.
I feel like this is just a day where our Zergs are a little bit better than the Protosses.
Oh, that's for
our
sure.
Our Protosses
too, yeah.
are not bad, but I think that you're looking at these 2 Zergs. These are 2 of the best Zergs in the business. Let's see if Trap can adapt here. That was a bumpy game for him. He lost a lot of adepts in unnecessary moments. He didn't even get that walling up in time. Those Lings got in. The counterattacks are tearing him apart.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to deal with the Swarm Host pressure.
That's right.
It was not a hard game for Solar. Let's see if Trap can pull it back together and take a game in game number 2. In the upper right, in the blue, he is
Jin Air Green Wings, Trap.
in the bottom left, in the red, he is
Splice, Solar.
So Frost is our map, and they're in cross spawns, so I think it's less likely we'll see that Stormhost style again. Like if they were vertical, let's say, then the Stormhost, like they have an area that they can run to and then launch, and they're far enough away from Protoss that it's hard to stop that, and like the air distance is low enough that the Locust can do a lot of damage. Here, it's not really the case. Like you have to walk them almost all the way across the map to launch any. So I don't think we'll see Stormhost play out of Solar here.
It seems like the strength of the Stormhost is a lot reliant on the proximity and then the geography of the map.
Yeah,
between
it really
that proximity. If there's like a way you can get over there and plant and then run back out to set up the attack. Yeah, because in cross spots, I mean, think of all the different angles Protoss could come at and just kill the Swarmhost before they get to do anything.
Exactly, and like it's a huge travel distance. So we have seen on big maps occasionally, like who was it, Biel or something, that was doing Swarmhost with Nidus to try to snipe Nexus, like some cool ideas. But anyways, I think it'll probably just be like a Ling Bane into maybe Hydra or something. This game could go very long though.
Well, we'll see if Trap can do a better job this time. I think some of that wasn't just Solar's brilliance, but really Trap just like not executing that well with what he was trying to do.
And well, what are you supposed to do against Hell Muffins, anyways? Like,
Hell Muffins, man.
I mean, Stormhost, we've seen Solar use them before, but we've never seen him use Hell Muffins.
No,
this was the birth of Hell Muffins
Infested
tonight.
Muffins.
Oh my god.
But I think on this map, I don't think Solar, especially looking at that last game, I don't think he has to do anything crazy. You know, I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you're tickled by this.
It's so good. I'm like trying to think of like all these devious things that a Hell Muffin would say. It's like, you like blueberries or chocolate chips? Oh my god. Did you ever watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Oh yeah, of course.
You see the episode with like what was the sandwich called that like if you eat it all the way like you go to hell or something? Like
oh no, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
And like so like
I feel like the only thing I remember from that show was the Moonanites.
Oh, they were so funny.
They were funny, yeah.
Anyways, they definitely check out that sandwich one. It's so Shake eats all of it but like one little piece and like leaves it in the fridge. It's like so funny.
Well, going into this game here, it looks like the proxy, well, not a proxy, hidden pylon, I should say, in the bottom right has been spotted.
Yeah. It's kind of nicely done. Very quick glaives coming out of Trap, which I really don't mind here. I think that's going to be a solid opening overall if he can force Solar down some tech routes that Solar doesn't get to pick. When you let Zerg pick, like, look at what Solar did last game, right? You went Ling Bane with decent creep spread into exactly the unit he wanted to make, which was Infestors. And we see a lot of other Zergs go into Ling Bane Hydra, you know, things that are hard to attack and very powerful to attack with. But something like this, if you start getting damage done, sometimes you'll just win the game straight there. And otherwise, a lot of times you force things like roaches that Zergs in general don't really want to have a lot of early game.
A lot of the ways that people have set up to try to beat a good Zerg player is to really try to control them, to try to tame them almost in a way.
Yeah.
Because if you don't engage a Zerg enough throughout the game, they basically always get ahead of you.
Yeah. You want to force them to do
the race that grows
things.
the fastest, yeah.
If you can force them into certain things and you know how they're spending their money, then you can dismantle that.
Yeah.
But if you let them do whatever the hell they want, then they're going to have a sick economy, ridiculous production, great tech switches, you know, all that stuff. So, third base coming up pretty quickly. A Robo on the way, probably for a Prism here as Glaives are finishing up. So maybe we'll see like a Sentry Adept Immortal attack coming in as well. Definitely not a bad build by any means. Some Roaches already kind of popping out here for Solar while he gets his lair.
We'll see when he actually decides to move out here. The Overlord's going to come spot this Nexus and confirm how far along it is, and that may be what sets up the possible timing here from the Zerg. It's also possible because we already saw 10 drones making. He's just going to sit back and try to grow a little bit faster. Usually the farther away you are, and in this case on this map they're as far away from each other as they can be, the longer the Zerg wants to wait to try to do a timing.
In fact, this game, I think he'll probably sit back defensively for a little bit. The fact that he got the Roach Warren early on, this is kind of a defensive play, and he's going into a Spire. So this is like one of the big Zerg tech routes that you can try against Protoss to dictate Protoss units, right? Like, if you are forced into Roaches, one of the cool things that you can do, like, everyone likes like Roach, Ravager, Bane, right, with some Lings in there. Like, that's a pretty good unit composition. But if Protoss can just sit there and make Immortals and Archons and charge lots, you're going to have a hard time with that comp. So what a lot of Zergs do is go into a Spire. Oh, did he just cancel that Spire?
I didn't see.
I think he might have just canceled that Spire. But I was going to say, if you go into Spire,
see air units being made otherwise, right? So
if you go into Spire, a lot of times you make mutas, which do some damage, and then force anti-muta, which would be Blink Stalker a lot of the time. And if you force a lot of Blink Stalkers, then the Banelings are, like, you wouldn't think Banelings are good against that, but, like, there's too much, and the Stalkers don't really do much. You know, Stalkers are a support unit in PvZ nowadays. It's not like Heart of the Swarm where you just make Stalkers to kill Zerg.
Right. And just try to overwhelm them and blink away and everything like that.
Yeah.
The Protoss is flirting with the idea of coming in here. I don't think he's going to let this Adept Shade finish, since I don't think it quite... Oh, my God. I was going to say, because it doesn't get on the ramp, so it can't get good surface area, but even if it did, their Ravagers... Trap is kind of bad with the depths, man.
Well, that was not good. Like, yeah. I'm very surprised he let that finish. It must have been a mistake. Okay, look, he actually, when the attack was coming, he did cancel the Spire. I guess he was a little bit afraid of what was occurring. Maybe he thought that he might die to it, and he wanted... Well, that is what it was, right? The reason why you would cancel a Spire in that case is to have more money to make more units. He didn't need to do that, so it's way slowed down now.
Well,
but
he didn't know that the
restart.
Adepts would be shaded into the worst possible location.
Yeah. Oh, he spotted the Spire, too, with that Prism.
Yeah,
so that's
nicely
good.
done. But that was a little bit strange, though, from Trap. That's not the first time today we've seen Trap move out with Adepts in what just doesn't seem to be a very logical move. He's coming down here now, trying to hit this hatchery. I don't think he's going to be able to get this in time. And that's going to be driven out. Now we have the Forge, another Robo, and Disruptors being made.
Oh, that's cool. Also, Warp Prism speed. So definitely can use that for harassing. And just... I don't mind trying to do like flanks and stuff against this type of army. When there's not anti-air in it, you can definitely get a lot done with Disruptors. So we'll see about that. But the Spire is going to be finishing up, which could force him down another tech route as well.
Now, I do want to point out that He's actually keeping the Ravagers back. He actually wants the Warp Prism to try to get into the Warp-In mode.
Oh, yeah.
So he can hit it with his Ravagers. He's got the right number of Ravagers basically everywhere. That if Protoss does try to commit to this, it will immediately fail. I don't think Trap's going to fall for that.
No, it doesn't look like it.
Now, as we were talking about earlier, there's now 11 Mutas on the way. So what happens when you make this many Mutalisks is it forces the Protoss to suddenly respond. A lot of... Even in ZVT, a lot of times Zerg just has to keep reacting to what's happening to it as the other player tries to come out. And when you do this big mutatech switch, it really forces the Protoss to suddenly start making their own unit comp to deal with that.
And look at this unit comp that we're actually seeing out of...
Oh, no, you serious?
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Well, there's speed done, so it's going to take a little bit, but he will get that. But look at this unit comp that we're going to be seeing out of Trap. It looks like Disruptor Blinkstalker for the most part, which is kind of funny because in Korea this is not really used. Last year it was pretty popular amongst foreigners. I don't think it's quite as popular this year, but yeah, you don't really see this in the Korean Pro Leagues, this set of units together. So it'll be cool to see how Trap utilizes this and how good Solar is against it, because he's making a lot of Mutas tasteless.
Yeah, it's that whole Mutaball theory where you just get so many Mutalisks that if the Protoss isn't completely ready for wherever they are, you suddenly start to lose everything. Look at this great come in here. Taking the shields off that Disruptor. Artosis. I thought he was going to go ahead and try to kill it off, but no.
You know, in these cross spawns and the fact that he's made this many Mutas, he's getting Muta attack, he's getting Bane speed and focusing on Ling Bane. The problem as the Protoss player, okay, this is good. He's going into Phoenix Tech, and he's going to get Phoenix range. Because if you do not do that, you are forced into a base trade by Zerg every single time, and you will almost never win that. Like, the Ling Bane Muta is way too fast.
This is a great play over here, using this high ground area to hit this while this Ling Muta attack. If Protoss is put out of position at all, then the Zerg is going to just fly into the main with those Lings and Mutas. It's going to be so much damage.
That was kind of funny, the Roach Carcass on top of the Photon Cannon.
Yeah.
I've never seen
here we
that
go.
image. Oh, a lot of Lings trying to get on
he
top
should
here.
pull out for sure.
Good force fields. More Mutas still being produced, but...
Well, the thing is that even if he's going for Phoenixes, you have to have a certain number of Phoenixes for the Mutas to actually respect them. Because even if you have Phoenix range, you can eventually just chase them into a corner and murder them all. Zealot's coming in and warping in. This is actually a pretty big tech attack. If he actually takes this out, I don't know if the Mutas can get back here in time. Meanwhile, great Disruptor hits over here as the Stalkers blink forward.
The graphic looked a bit odd, but will he get this Spire? Oh my god.
15 HP and Flyer air attack.
Just
finishes.
finishing. Oh my god, that was crazy. But he's going into a mothership as well. That's going to be really helpful. He has a lot of Phoenixes right now. So these Phoenixes he's actually been banking up and not showing. He can literally, when these Mutas come too close, he can just chase them home and kill every single one of them. This is going to be a super high value move for Trap.
When you think of how much gas is lost with all these Mutas he invested in, it's crazy. Now, this is a lot of Banelings, which the Phoenixes do not help against. But the Phoenixes are now out here.
Oh. Okay, I feel like this was a mistake to show these right now and not, like, once you show these, I feel like
Phoenixes.
you micro them non-stop until these Mutas are dead, but okay,
here we go. He needs to micro them.
Yeah.
He cannot just fight them head on.
And now he only has 4 of them, so they're having a lot harder time, and it looks like he's just going to barrel through here.
And coming through, these Banelings actually could connect on these Stalkers, and that's a lot of damage that they did. And with the Phoenixes already beaten up pretty badly there, I don't know if the Stalkers are in high enough numbers to actually fight the Mutas.
The Banelings still rolling around. The Phoenixes being microed, but it's been a little bit lackluster with that micro. Gets another couple out. God, he's losing a lot of them here. When you go...
GG, that's it. Solar wins game number 2, and that means he's going to face off against Sue in a ZVZ for the winners match.
Yeah, not surprised about that. A little bit surprised about the shape of Trap compared to Solar, because that was...
Trap looks pretty not good.
Like, he definitely made a few mistakes in this game. If you go Phoenixes against Mass Muta, the moment you show them, I feel like you are committed to microing them non-stop until every... Because he's on 3 base making this many Phoenixes, plus Phoenix range, which means 2 Stargates, and, you know, going for the Fleet Beacon. Like, this is a huge investment. So if you don't waste the Mutas, you know Zerg has 4 or 5 bases. So he's just going to overrun you with other things because now you just have a bunch of Phoenixes. So I don't know. I did not personally like this game from Trap.
I agree. We're going to take a short break. We come back. A ZVZ, Sue versus Solar.